Hello, today we are going to practice the English language. It's been a while since I last did an English recording, but I think this morning I might as well do something like that because I need to practice, even though also that I think I have a sore throat and I've already drunk the lemon juice that I usually make whenever I have something like this going on because if you drink the lemon juice, you'll find that your throat would have this kind of bubbly type of sensation. So I think that helps definitely because I also remember that some of my students before I left university gave me some type of lemon jam that you can use to create a lemon juice. And it had hunger writings on it, and I thought that they wanted to share it with me because maybe they foresaw that if you talk too much, you practice so many languages, you'll eventually encounter the problem of having sore throat. But I think it's also maybe related to the weather and also the things that are in the air because recently some of the people who opt not to listen with regard to the detergents that cause white snots still continue to use these detergents at exorbitant amounts so that the detergents, the powders, the smell actually go to the air and are transported toward the house, toward where I am right now because most recently we've had a number of rainfalls, and it's because the typhoon season is really coming upon us, and that's why the wind would affect the position of these detergent powders that normally, if we don't have the wind, it's a still type of environment, then they would just settle and would eventually fall down. But because there's wind, then the wind carries them over here. And I think it was a couple of days ago that there was really the detergent floating in the air. So we have to be careful with that. And I know that it's the detergent because if you just sniff a little bit and try to blow your nose, you'll get the white snots that I am talking about. And usually, if it's dirt, then it shouldn't be white. It should be gray or something else. But in this case, it's really white. It's the detergent. And yet, there are so many people who still don't want to believe. I think they think that they could use some kind of strong aroma, some kind of maybe food flavoring that has a smell, maybe even spicy food. I think to a certain extent these could help, but you really have to remove the white snots because the white snot sticks to your nose. And that's why it makes it difficult to breathe. Now the aroma, strong smelling aroma, helps you breathe because it gets into your lungs. The air gets into your lungs more easily, somewhat. But after the aroma goes away, the snot would still be there. You gotta remove the snot. That's why when you blow your nose, you'll find the white snots there. And that's why the strong aroma could help somewhat, but in the end, you gotta remove the white snot. So, other ways that I have found to be somewhat effective also is for you to get yourself to blow your nose. Maybe because you ate spicy food, that's why you are sweating profusely and you are gonna blow your nose or something like that, or you get runny nose, and in that way you get to remove the white snot. So in the end, it's still that you have to remove the white snot. And if you can't do that immediately, then you would have to endure. You would have to endure the type of breathing that doesn't reach up to the max. That it's like you are unable to breathe enough oxygen that you would normally be able to. And I think there are people who may have thought that, okay, it looks like the Lysol spray would be the answer, would be the way to go. But I think it has the same effect as the strong aroma that people, for instance, use to help them breathe, but only to the extent that the aroma is still there. That's why if there are people who think that the Lysol spray is the solution, they'll keep on spraying Lysol spray. But again, the Lysol spray also kills germs, but also kills the other cells that aren't bad. So that's why as you use it continuously, because there are people who seem to have gotten the idea that it seems to be the solution for most of their problems, the breathing problem or some sort, and they use it too much. That's why their hair would grow white. It's okay up to a certain extent because you have to kill some of the germs. Maybe it's some kind of surgical procedure or some sort, but too much, as with anything, gives this bad result, this bad outcome, which is some of the good cells also die. And that's why you have the white hair there. And I think that there were quite a number of people also who weren't using Lysol spray, but they were getting white hair. And I think that's because of the food, the drinks that have gotten some kind of genetic modification or some sort of change. Because there was a time when it was difficult to get food from one place to another due to the war, which affected the oil prices. That's why there are people who looked for ways to somehow be able to transport the ingredients but not cost them too much. So, because of that, there were things that usually you wouldn't have any problems with, but they began to cause you problems.